Estimated $600 billion every year. That's according to the AARP's Valuing the Invaluable series. Josh Askvig is the state director for AARP North Dakota, and he joins me to talk about the report and what it says about the contributions made by North Dakota caregivers. Good morning, Josh.
Hey, good to be with you, Wayne.
That is a staggering number.
It is a staggering number, and when you consider they're doing close to 36 billion hours of care annually, it really shows why they're the backbone, or we call them the backbone of the long-term care services and supports work that happens in the United States.
Tell me, who are the people that we're talking about here, these caregivers?
We're talking about a trusted friend, a family member, a loved one who is helping somebody stay safe and independent at home for as long as they live, or helping them with long-term care needs. So it's folks like my mother, who cared for my grandma for a long time. It's folks like my dad, who helps my grandma who lives in an assisted living facility, with different grocery shopping. It can be things as simple as grocery shopping, lawn care, all the way up to high-intense medical procedures that often used to only happen in a hospital a number of years ago, and now more and more those family caregivers are being asked to perform those duties at home.
You know, and you see that more than you realize. If you just take time and look around as to who's helping an elderly person that's maintain a quality of life, it's amazing how many people are actually asked to do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, in North Dakota alone, there's over 62,000 family caregivers, according to the Valuing the Invaluable report that AARP just released, the latest update, actually yesterday. It was just released, and so you think about 62,000 North Dakotans, that's almost 1 in 10 North Dakotans who are doing some sort of care to help their loved ones stay safe and independent at home. And so, if we had to compensate those folks to do that work, the report shows that we would have to pay those folks almost $1 billion if you totaled it up in the economic value that they provide to North Dakota. I can tell you, being at the legislature regularly, in fact heading there shortly after this, that that's more than the entire Medicaid budget for the state of North Dakota today.
You know, and the thing is, people don't think about it until it's brought up in a conversation like this, just how big this function is. So what are some of the big takeaways that you can talk about as far as this report, what it provided for you?
Yeah, so again, we found the last time we did this report was in 2019.
Okay.
So updated again now in 2023 is part of it. So the number of caregivers in North Dakota actually went down by about 6,000 caregivers. We used to say there's 68,000 caregivers in North Dakota, now it's 62,000, but the amount of care that they're doing has gone up. And so the number of unpaid hours has gone up from 57 million in the last report to 58 million is part of it. And they get, we use the economic value per hour of $17.24, which is generally what you'd pay somebody to do these paid services. So as you can see on the screen, over $1 billion in care. And I think it just continues to show the growing scope and complexity of family caregivers, and highlights the need to address many of those concerns.
Okay, you mentioned that you're heading to the legislature, actually from here.
Yeah.
That's why he's all decked out in a suit and tie.
Yeah, normally I'm not wearing this get up.
Last time I saw you, you were running down my street with your dog, and you were out for a run, and you said not only was he out for a run, it was the second run of the day. So what's going on at the legislature? What are some of the things that are important to you right now?
Yeah, so I think important to us at AARP is we're trying to make sure there's additional dollars and resources in the Department of Human Services budget to provide staff that can help family caregivers navigate and find the supports and services they need for their loved one. There's a need for an increase in senior nutrition services, in dollars to find, so home delivered or congregate meal settings. Oftentimes that nutrition piece is the first thing that is the need. Somebody's living alone, or unable to cook for themselves, and many times that's the socialization piece they get too, of somebody bringing them their meal or going to one of those congregate sites. So an increase in funding of that, and then last but certainly not least, making sure we have the support and the payment rates that support the workforce that's there. One of the trends we found in this report is the declining workforce in the paid caregiving side is putting additional stress on those unpaid family caregivers. And so, as I said, number of caregivers has shrank a little bit in North Dakota,
about 6,000,
but they're being asked to do more work, and that's in large part because of the shortage of paid paid caregivers in the state.
Anything else about this report that you want to relay to folks? And just I think it's so interesting to understand and to see the numbers and understand the need that is out there.
Yeah, I think the other thing is the report highlighted, we saw this in 2019, but it really showed up, I think, this year, is the growth in the sandwich generation, or what we call the sandwich generation of caregivers. And so we're seeing more millennials, Gen Xers entering the caregiving workforce and caring for their aging parent and loved one or friend or neighbor or uncle, as well as their own kids as part of it. And so I think that's a number we're going to continue to see grow as boomers age and continue to see that boomer demographic trend move across the demographic piece. And then I think the second thing is 61% of those doing this unpaid family caregiving, 60% either work full or part-time.
Yeah.
And so they're holding down a job and providing this needed care to keep their loved ones safe and independent.
You know, they're probably holding down a job, raising some kids, and then they have this as well to take care of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just described it in a nutshell very well as part of it. And I think it's important to emphasize, when you talk to folks who do this work, they enjoy doing this work. They know it's helping their loved ones stay safe and independent, but they could use some of those assistance things that we talked about additional staff to help them navigate services, additional resources and supports for the nutrition side of it, so that they don't feel all of that pressure. So it's a super important research that AARP does, and we're thankful we can help highlight what's happening.
You know, so often, we're down under a minute, Josh, but so often when we visit with the people from AARP, we talk about scams and things like that are going on. As we approach tax season, is there one or two things that you could highlight here that people need to be careful of?
Yeah, I think you're going to have a volunteer of ours on in a couple weeks that's going to talk about imposter scams, but I'll just flag it for you now. I think one of the things that we're seeing is around tax season, folks saying they're calling from the Social Security Administration or the IRS, and they need to confirm, can you confirm your Social Security number for us? The IRS or Social Security Administration isn't going to call you. I'll let Bob give you more details in a couple weeks, but I think that's important for folks to know as you're going through tax season. If you get a phone call that says it's Social Security Administration or the IRS, don't answer it, or if you do, hang up.
I was just going to say, hello?
Yeah.
Boom, hang it up.
Yeah,
hang
absolutely.
It up. See how old school that was? We don't do this anymore. We don't hang it up. We click it off.
I just had the story. My kids know phone calls like this. They don't know phone calls like this.
Exactly right. Josh Askvig, always so educational to have you come on and talk, and I appreciate the information you shared with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Wayne.
All right, where do we find AARP if people have more questions?
You can always visit the Fraud Watch Network for the fraud-related stuff, aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork on the screen, or you can call us at 877-908-3360.
All right, they're waiting for you up at the Capitol, Josh. Thanks for stopping by.
Good to see you, Wayne.
We're taking a break. We're back.